Hello there. Welcome back to Charles Circle, and welcome back to Captain of Industry. Last time, we completed our Electronics 2 Mega Factory, which is now pumping out 1 Electronics 2 per second. This robust production will serve as the foundation for our advanced manufacturing economy going forward. Electronics 2 go into everything that we are about to unlock, from construction parts 4 and lab equipment 3 on to things like household appliances, office supplies, and even going forward, building the computing resource, among many other things. So today, it's time to start putting that production to good use. We'll aim to get our construction parts 4 module added to our construction parts factory. We'll think about adding a maintenance 2 facility, which will be required to service a lot of these advanced buildings going forward. And maybe even think about getting lab equipment 3 up and running and upgrading some of our labs. Let's see how it goes. So let's turn those labs back on. We had paused these to conserve steel for construction parts so that we could get that build up faster, but it is time, I think, to bring them back online. Okay, and now we'll get that research queued up, and in fact, let's go along through to Research Lab 3 as well. Our labs will be available in one moment. And then let's take care of a few odds and ends around the base that have piled up while we were focused on our massive build out here to the west. First, just before we unpause, this is just an FYI, I cleaned up our mining designations everywhere before I turned the camera on. Mind-numbing work, so figured I'd just do it quickly, but we clearly found our level below which there is no coal, and as a result, in order to get the coal that is here, we're digging out more and more rock, right? And you can see that that is clogging up our sorters pretty hard. As a result, we're having trouble supplying coal to the rest of the base. So hopefully that should help reduce the amount of rock going in and clogging up those sorters. Speaking of rock clogging up those sorters, I've also allowed our trucks to throw rock and dirt into an increasingly large pile here in this ground. And that is a little counterintuitive at first glance, right? Because we want this land to be flat in the longer run. We have talked about this before. We even started terraforming some of this area to flatten it so that we can use it and build on it in the longer run. But in the meanwhile, it's just going to serve as a nearby place to empty these sorters out to make sure that we have thorough coal production, and we're going to have to fill this mine back in, right, in order to build on top of it. And so having a pile of rock right next to it that we can just throw right back in really is not too big of a deal at all. So that is a win-win in my book. Similarly, I have instructed our iron mine to dig down into the ground as well, which will be necessary given how little of this is left here above the surface level too. So we're officially in the strip mining phase. Another reminder, and we'll probably have to do this pretty soon, but this area will be the mining outpost setup that we will create in order to transition off of both of these mines as they wrap up. I am hopeful that we won't have to do that this episode, but at a certain point it will, it'll force our hand and we'll have to drop everything and set it up. It won't be difficult, but it will become a priority in relatively short order. Okay, unpause. While this is researching, let's take care of a few other odds and ends, right? As we said, the first one that caught my eye is we are about 2 seconds away from having a sewage problem, which is an issue of not having enough sludge consumption. We'll boost this while this is building to clear out our wastewater treatment plant. And you can see already that is helping, so very good. And since we've turned our labs back on, we should think about our Unity consumption vis-a-vis edicts. I don't think we need this. We have plenty of food, we have plenty of water. I wouldn't mind keeping, actually I'd like to add this, and I think we're okay on fuel consumption too. I don't mind. Maintenance I actually kind of like keeping up once we can afford it, because it is consumption of steel, basically, right? To go into mechanical parts production. So once the tick resets, I think that'll have us in the positive on Unity. Let's see. We definitely need to keep boosting our steel production because we don't have a lot of it. We have, I think, very nearly, but not entirely, paid off. In fact, we're late on our last payment, our steel loan. So no worries, we'll get that sorted soon. And then once this is really a coal issue, right? It's why I so strongly prioritized getting this up and running. And beautiful, this is already starting. So hopefully this clears out in relatively short order. But we'll see, and we'll definitely keep an eye on it. Let's clear it all the way out. Should sort itself out. Okay. So the other thing that we kind of started doing last time was adjusting the water main that we were trying to unify our water supply for all of these industrial uses coming out of this reservoir. We were getting to the point where, particularly on steel, the volume of water that we were having to truck over was becoming a bit of an issue, a bit of a bottleneck for us, and we don't want that. So let's continue with this. I'm actually going to move this again, but the point will be that we'll have, once this is deconstructed, we'll have one buffer here still, but this will be the new pipe coming under the bridge. This pipe will come along through, I think this is where we left it. Is that right? It is. It's going to replace this one. And it'll also supply over here. This is just about sort of tidying things up a bit. And then I think coming through here, we would like to do a ramp again. So I'm looking, I want to simplify all of this, right? We stopped running all of our steel exhaust over to this scrubber by building its own integrated scrubber in the complex. And I think that means that one of these pipes is in its entirety no longer necessary whatsoever. I think it's the bottom one. So let's clear that out, delete it. And then I think what we'll end up having to do here is probably rebuild this one anyway. Yeah. I'd like to get it buried under a ramp, as we've started doing lots of places to improve truck navigation. But is this, since we're about to rebuild anyway, is this where we want that crossing to be? I don't see why not. Seems fine to me. Yeah, okay, so we do want the water supply to come through at least past the power plant. And I don't see why we wouldn't just basically keep it here. Now this entire main needs to be a 3 as well, but I'm going to make an adjustment off of this exhaust pipe 2, I think. Oh, yep, okay, so not enough maintenance is absolutely a steel issue again. Please tell me you're getting the coal you need. or not. But it is here, so it's coming. In fact, I might say, should we pause this train? This is not as important. I think we're okay. He's about to reload. I think it's going to catch up. He said, justifying ignoring the problem. Let's see. So this is good. I mean, this is now supplying this, and we no longer need to have trucks supplying it. So this now solved on the water main. The exhaust front still requires this. Done. I would like to have this pipe also meet up with it, if possible. Vent the CO2 on these. These are our primaries. These are backups. They're very rarely actually firing. Okay. And I'm not even going to bother Unity building that because it probably won't get used anytime soon. That allows us to delete this entire segment, including this rather annoying little divot that we're doing in our water as a result. I've been trying to bury pipes, not literally under the ground, but under these vehicle ramps because we're about to get much larger vehicles and it makes navigating our base a lot better because these mega vehicles, you'll see they have a height designation. And so they start to have a ceiling, basically. And you can get under with some of them, not the big excavators. The big excavators have a height of 7, which you cannot send a pipe that high. You can get some of the larger trucks under these very tall pipes, but it's just easier if you don't have to think about it or worry about it. So that's part of the rationale here. The other is just, I think it looks better. So that's a reason too. There we go. All right, and then I think we have to think about throughput because if we're gonna sit here and make it a 3 after that point, it makes no difference unless it's a 3 before that point. I don't think we need it to go, yeah, our net water usage here is probably not justifying a 3. Because we have the recycling loop in there in particular. Actually, wait. Cancel that. Because I do want to think about, while we're out here, is this the right way to set this up? I certainly don't want to be burning Unity like this continuously when we could just make 2 more. So let's think about it. If we wanted to fill a pipe 3, which is 450, right? How many of these would we need to pull 450 out of the ground? Well, almost 10, right? Could we do that? I mean, looking at this reservoir, we're barely making a dent, right? And we've been running, that's basically 4, so to speak. I don't know if they were running it full. I'm actually quite sure they weren't. But we could probably line up a few of these to service this. What does the tidiest version of that look like? Remember, this is this is here because we were snaking through the woods back in the day. This used to all be a forest. Remember that? Time flies. I think we're going to set up 4. And we'll do it right here, honestly. Right? I think that's reasonable. You'll see my thought process in a moment. I'm going to leave room to expand that way. But basically, since we're right along the tracks, this is not going to run into anything or anyone along the way. So why don't we? Well, maybe we have to go this far out? Oh no, is it just not like the... Okay, better plan. How about we just... We're gonna stay on the ground here for one, and then run it between the tracks. What about that? Is the crossing gonna get mad now? Probably still, right? Weird. So it seems to have some sort of like super high hitbox for the crossing itself. Just a little bit of a bummer. I suppose we can just go around it. That's all right. You know what? We're going to use this as an excuse to cross the tracks here. And then we'll come back all the way down. At this point, just stay up. And connect up to the existing main here. All right. And that means this should go up. This should get built. Could be prettier, could be uglier. It's fine. And we'll build all of these as well. As well? Pun intended? Water supply? No. Alright, once those are done, we can decommission out here and delete this pipe too. Please, please, please. Coal's going. Good, alright, steel should be going at least. Output is full, and there's our problem. Okay. Do we have any twos coming in? Nope, because you don't have any ones, because you don't have any steel. I mean, we could do one of these systems for for our ones as well. We don't have like... We do, we have some in here too. Alright, here's what we're gonna do. Temporarily, you can supply one of these, and that'll be fine. All right, with this going, I feel comfortable deleting all of these. So we'll let the water drain out first. Yeah, we really got to fix this maintenance. All right, I know we're about to fix steel, but I genuinely think we have to take a steel loan. Things are about to start breaking. Our maintenance has been too low for too long at this point. So I hate to do it, but it has to happen. It should be fine here in a moment. While we're taking loans, why don't we just consolidate our debt on these? I'll just repay this one in its entirety now. Clear the decks there. Insta-build all of that. Okay, that should resolve the core issue of steel supply between coal, iron ore, water. I think we're okay. Everything should start running here in 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. All right, cool. Good to see. this should also, good, get the bulk of our lone parts as well. Good. We can stop boosting this now that this is built. Aha, we have some slag in here somehow. Weird. I suppose we will allow that just to get these folks back in the rotation. It shouldn't be enough, I don't think, that we need to worry about adding a storage for export, but we'll see. Coal train running. Are we filling up as well out here or no? Okay. So this is, ultimately, we can't use this ramp in the longer run because we need to, you know, like dig the coal out of it. So I was creating a second one over here, but I don't know if we have the throughput in the meanwhile. I mean, they're creating a little bit of a path here, hopefully, for themselves to dig, but it looks like they're just really wigging out. Wonder if we add a rock dumping designation here to flatten this out, if that would smooth things. And I think they would prioritize that, a dumping zone within their own tower instead of the next nearest one. So hopefully these folks fill that in and that accelerates that platform. Otherwise, we're just going to have yet another coal-driven steel problem. Okay, and now we have water. Why are you... My goodness. The problems, they never end. All right. But actually, though... Oh yeah, we can't Unity build these, unfortunately. So these need to be... Just gonna keep going back to the bank, huh? Well, clearing these out at least will give us back some parts too, so we'll take that. Yeah, coal train not carrying that much coal right now. Oh, and then while we're digging ourselves out of this maintenance hole, I think let's use some of the Unity that we do have to quickly clear all of that out. That's what I get for trying to make an infrastructure improvement in the middle of what I was not respecting as a full-on basic material crisis. Oh well, that's all right. Could do some paving in the meanwhile. Been enjoying this a lot. The addition of anything that's like helpful for like aesthetics, I think is a great addition to this game. It's definitely a game that's all about function over form, but I don't think there's any reason you shouldn't have some ability to shape form when you're having fun. Oh, this is just mad about this. No problem. Okay, good. That's full again, which means hopefully he's full again. Beautiful. And the good news is once it's actually lined up and pointed at the target properly, our throughput here is quite good. It just has to be like able to work is all. All right, we're short on workers. I've already unloaded the crew. I paused this cargo ship, by the way, since we're not using the world mines anymore, since we're using our crude oil train from out here. So I think we'll be all right there. But as a result, we are close on workers. Why don't I just build another housing? Well, we can't upgrade anymore, and we can fit one here if we removed these pipes. That would be the simplest thing to do, but I kind of hate it. It looks terrible. It would be temporary. We can get to housing 4. I mean, we're basically going to have to do this because in order to get to housing 4, I think we're going to have to increase our... Nope, never mind. Found a new way. Since we don't have the steel to do the research quite yet, I will pause 2 of these. And now we have workers. Just punting a little bit further. Now power troubles, presumably because coal. I think this is because we need... Actually, no, we should be fine here. This turbine should be able to supply... Is that right? Everything so far? Or do we actually need the contribution of these turbines as well? Because if we do, this is pretty important. Should have maybe thought about this in terms of like a priority balancer, huh? I mean, we still can. That's kind of enough coal, though, isn't it? Should be. Each of these makes 48. Each of these takes 24. All right, so our ratio is fine. All right. Now that it's charged up, hopefully that's better. We'll see. All right, you are receiving water. That is true. I see it pulsing through. Are you just charging up some reservoirs first? Is there an issue down here? And we have all of them going. Maybe just to charge things up, we'll do this, which should still fit, right? In our 450 pipe. And if we need to, we can add more of these, right? I'm just thinking about population right now. I mean, we have some here. Why are they not coming over? It's gotta be a truck network issue, huh? We should add some more trucks. Can't hurt. 10 real quick. I mean, this is the reason we were doing the water main and some of the dumping stuff in the first place, right? Is to try to alleviate a little bit of this burden. And so many of you are just sitting here because we're full up on coal. So good. We just need our train throughput to catch up. I actually think, given that we've adjusted the amount of rock or whatever that we're dealing with here, probably okay. I'm also going to remove this dumping designation because good enough. We have a new platform to work off of, right? And eventually we'll finish digging that too. Good. All right, so that's a ton of coal, which is the whole point. So, in fact, I'm wondering from a throughput perspective, should we add like 2 more stations here? Because right now he's doing 1, 2, 3 stops, and the other guy is doing 1, 2, 3, 4 stops. We could cut him down. We could cut both trains down to 2 stops if we did this, basically, with a large storage here. Which would also give us a better buffer. You may, but only you. So we'll say reject single product loads here, I suppose. And this will only take full loads from here. I don't know, why not? And what did we beef? Okay, so this is just a construction parts 3 issue. Do this and immediately repay this, don't worry. Just because I want to keep the total number of loans that we have down. All right, and then we did this, but never properly set this up either. I think this works. I mean, this doesn't really matter at all, does it? Should just connect out here. This entire glass setup is one of the things that in the more like medium term, we're gonna upgrade. This next glass maker is better. Remember how our current ones, they take the same 24 molten glass, they break half of it and you have to recast it. It's not efficient. So the upgraded version of that increases throughput without taking any more input, right? Much more efficient. They're also super long. It's hard to tell from the picture, but they're twice as long and very skinny. Twice as long as this and about half as thick. So between that and the fact that these are blast furnace 1s still, we'll probably delete and rebuild a tighter, longer version of this here when we unlock it. But in the meanwhile, we're doing all right. I've also been pleased to see, although we haven't really ramped up consumption of electronics that much, I've been pleased to see that generally I think our glass is keeping up over here. Is that true still? It is, right? So I think we're okay. Look at that. Oh, that is beautiful. So full. So full. Not great on the electricity, though. I'm wondering, is this now coal again? Of course it is. You're not stuck, right? You're just waiting for him to come through? Okay. Oh, but you don't go unless this is empty, which is going to be a problem. Well, we'll just change that, I guess. I don't mind him running a little bit more often than necessary. I would expand and make this a proper station complex with multiple stations. You should probably have, in a situation like this, one station per train, just to be like super safe. But I'm like, we already see the end of this mine happening, right? Like once we're through this area, it's gone, and there's nothing else that we'll want any train station for out here. So I would prefer not to invest in something we're going to end up deleting in relatively short order anyway. So that's my thought process there. We're getting close here. And so how do we want to think about building this out a little bit more? Well, we're going to need a storage. It'll be for 4s, obviously, but we don't have that unlocked yet. We'll adjust this in a moment. We're going to need an input for electronics 2. This input needs to connect up to this top belt. That's all we're going to need is electronics 2 and construction parts 3, right? So we have the same balancer output here so that we can adjust our own priorities here accordingly. In fact, let's even that out a bit. All right, this was helpful, but I kind of hate it. It looks terrible. In the crisis, we can always rebuild it. It's not complicated. So we're gonna need to run this into the top belt here. And this is the final one. So we actually don't need an output balancer here anymore, right? Let's double check that that's true, but I don't see a construction parts 5 anywhere in this tech tree. Cool. This is it. This is top level construction. Pretty neat. So then, let's give ourselves just a real quick flat lift here, up 1 level, bring you over here. And of course, we need to switch directions, and we can trim that. And that should do it, right? Cool. And in fact, why not build all of it? Leave this as none so that nobody interacts with it. But we might as well start filling this up and build these, which should destroy our employment again. We're caught back up on maintenance. Our consumption of maintenance is still definitely covered by the 3 that we have, so that's good, despite the fact that I got rid of that Unity consuming edict, right? No, we have maintenance reduced. Ah, okay, so that's pretty significant then. Our consumption is... Oh, and this is also something I've noticed. When our oil train is unloading here, it blocks up this important pass-through, and we get train traffic here. They're waiting. And now that he's out of the way, they're comfortable going. So we need to do something about that. I still want to produce or create enough space for him. I don't think there's anything we can really do on this end. But once he's through there, we could give him like more turnaround space, potentially, to unload. I mean, it's just the issue's fundamentally that he's a train of a certain length, but he needs to be a train of a certain length in order to supply the crude oil throughput that we require. Hard to avoid that. So I'm wondering, could we do something? This is the problem, we're just in tight quarters here, you know? But I suppose we could do something more like this. Would this still allow trucks to drive through here? No. In fact, it would not. Okay, so we can't do that then. I suppose we could try a tighter bypass angle over here. What if we did... Want to try to keep some speed here, probably. Maybe it's more like this. We do need it to merge up with both of these. But I think we could do... Maybe even from here if we change that angle back. That looks kind of rough, doesn't it? Well, let's build this, which should allow us to delete this and this, and then we'll reconnect here, somewhere, wherever we have to. I mean, that works for me, I think. All right, and then checking our track directions. This is all fine. This... I guess can be bidirectional. I don't know. Let's see if that works. So here we go. Here he comes. He's coming in. He's unloading. Any trains coming from this direction? Is he still going to creep into this intersection in red, right? That's the question. Yes. But less. Much shorter time. I don't know. We'll keep an eye on traffic. The important thing is we have unlocked construction parts 4. Pretty cool. And here they come. Already. Good, we learned our lesson. We do, in fact, allow the export of the construction parts to the construction parts factory. Good news. More trucks helped. A lot, apparently. We might just be caught up now. And given the worker crunch and the fact that it's not actually doing anything, go ahead and pause it. Okay, cool. That's good news. We have construction parts 4. We're working on a research lab even. How is our production going on that front? Pretty good. We don't have the people for it, but we could turn on the second set of labs if we were so inclined. And our steel is going. It has sufficient coal. It has sufficient iron. It has sufficient water. All right, so all the changes we made, it was bumpy to get there, but all the changes we made worked just fine. Good. Okay, so now, what do we do with these things? Besides continue ignoring our starving chickens. I've been very cavalier about our food setup. Like, right now, because we have enough unity to go around, food is just don't starve. That's it. And we're doing better than that, by the way. But I'm not worried about it right now. This keeps getting worse though, so I actually think we might have to connect our water main over here just to preserve this reservoir. So maybe I'll do that real quick. Yeah, I think we kind of have to, actually. because we don't allow export. This is really just, what is this reservoir capable of doing? Okay. Is this destroying this reservoir? Wow, yeah, it kind of is. Okay. Well, then we punt. We have a desalination setup over here that's, I think, also fine. So we might just run a water main from it up here instead. Probably the simplest thing to do. How often are these firing, by the way? It's like, yeah, that's okay. It's full most of the time, and then it drains a little bit. All right, good. That makes me feel better. I think we can use it. All right, we're doing it real fast. All right, there we go. I think we should be able to supply all of that. Yeah. So as long as these are still... As long as these still have some lag in their system, I'm good with it. And even then, right, like this has to fill up before it'll truly lag enough to know if it's full or not. But importantly, we aren't annihilating this reservoir anymore. Good. Okay. That's done. And it seems, do we still need? Yeah, it seems like we're still pretty continuously boosting these two. So I would say rather than wasting Unity, since we've convinced ourselves that it is in fact necessary, we can just do this. All right, cool. Look at that. That is more steel than I think we've ever had piled up. Beautiful. That means everywhere else in our base is full on steel too, doesn't it? Oh, how cool is that? We got parts 3 sitting around already. Super cool. Oh, you love to see it. We have a very nearly full parts 3 storage. I actually am going to let all of this overflow. Am I? No. That's more than enough for now. I want to get more 3s because actually here, let's repay both of these debts just to clear the books. This is more of a mental thing than anything else. I don't think you really get a bonus for paying anything back early, but I just want to have it in my head that we are done on parts 2 and that we have a little bit of debt left on 3s, but that is also ticking over into our 4s production, which is cool. Obviously, we have more than enough electronics too. Okay. The other thing that we have built, I think we're done here, right? Yep, okay. The other thing we have unlocked is the Maintenance 2 Depot. So let's take this opportunity to think about our maintenance setup in general. So Maintenance 1 and Maintenance 2 are separate resources, just to be clear. This Maintenance Depot is an upgraded version of the basic depot, but they both produce only this maintenance 1 resource, right? And so we need to produce this maintenance 2 resource completely anew, right? It comes from a deceptively similar building with deceptively similar recipes. It's just electronics 2 instead of electronics 1 that gets mixed with the mechanical parts. We also produce recyclables. But it's like the same looking building. It does a lot of the same stuff. So, with that in mind, there is an argument that we should try to put this into the same facility, right? We just add, I guess, one more of these machines to cover this, add a storage for electronics 2, and just run a second belt down. Like, that's not an unreasonable conclusion to come to. And it is absolutely something we could do. But it's going to start getting tight in here. We need to start scaling up another one of these machines. Now, to be clear, we wouldn't have to do that until we hit like 960 requirement, because we could just Unity boost this one. So if we wanted to just buy some time, so to speak, we could do that, and it would cost us a little bit of Unity to maintain a smaller footprint. The simplest thing would be to replace this one with this one, right? And we can absolutely double our maintenance 1 also by Unity boosting along the way here. And just the amount of Unity that we're producing at this point in the game makes that a relatively trivial thing to do. We'll also get upgrades to Assembly 4, so we'd still be able to produce all of this, and we're shipping in the electronics too. So that's one thing. Oh gosh, should have built that. That's one way to do this. The other would be to create a new, larger scale maintenance facility in general that has basically the same structure here, right? But has a second row for the entirety of the maintenance 2 depots. We'd copy paste this row, then we'd make another one of these here. They'd have the shared mechanical parts input as well. And the other thing to keep in mind, there's actually a maintenance 3 as well. Same thing, mechanical parts and the next level of electronics. So buying time here doesn't solve that in the longer run. But ultimately, it really is just about making a bunch of mechanical parts. The other thing we could do, the other advantage, I would say, to rebuilding is that our electronics are currently being supplied across the street, but surplus, right, from this production here, whatever's not spent making construction parts, right? And so the further down this value chain we go, the more continuously these are operating. Now, 2 of these should be enough for all 4 of these, even running continuously, right? So we do have, when I say surplus, I actually mean like 50% surplus, right? There are other places that we're supplying electronics in the base as well, right? This is about to double to upgrade to the next level of research lab. Which maybe brings me to the third and final argument for moving this somewhere else, is this production needs to double. So right now, lab 2s take 12 lab equipment 2 to run. Lab 3s take 24 each to run. And they are produced 1-to-1 from lab equipment 2. So in order to make enough lab equipment 2 to turn into lab equipment 3, we need to double our production. Which means 8 of these, or 4 of them boosted. Same is true upstream as well, although this would be, I think, simpler to double the footprint of compared to this. But if we removed all of this and created a different maintenance facility, we would suddenly have some very conveniently placed real estate right next to where we would actually logically want to expand our value chain for lab equipment anyway. Final consideration. Recyclables come out of all of this, and it's nice that they're conveniently located here next to this recycling plant. We could always truck them in, but we have it belted for a reason. It saves us those trips. Here's the other thing to keep in mind. Lab 3s also produce double recyclables. So 24 times 4, 96 recyclables. This plant, if we're researching continuously, is going to be 2/3 occupied just with our labs. These are each making 18. So what is that, 54? And the base itself spits out recyclables. So we're kind of going to be pushing up on needing to add a second waste sorting plant, no matter what we do. So I think with all of that in mind, it probably makes sense for us to create a new maintenance facility somewhere else and reuse this space, simplify this sort of recycling setup a little bit too, create a new maintenance facility that has its own waste sorting plant as part of it. It's relatively straightforward. Question just becomes where, right? And given that it's all still just our various parts going in, it would be nice to keep it in this general area, right? Because this is where all of the things it needs are being produced. But we're kind of tight on real estate. So where else would we go? Could come up here. My concern here is I don't want to relocate our steel just because the iron mine is gone. So we're probably going to bring a train down here and enter in here. And so clogging up this area is probably not ideal either. A little bit of space back here, kind of. It's not a terrible option. We built the construction factory in mind with the idea that we could expand out this way if we need to, but quite frankly, we're doing all right here. We're keeping up, I would say. And we'll have, as I mentioned, assembly 4s and then eventually assembly 5s that will double and then quadruple relative to our current production. As it is, let's get something else researching in the meanwhile. How about household appliances? So the only other thought that I had back here was it could be kind of nice to get a train station in this area, dropping off some of the materials that we are still trucking in. So wood, for example, is currently being dropped here from our hardworking tree harvesters running all the way across the map and then being brought truckload in by truckload. It's also a same station we could use to bring in our electronics too, whose consumption in this area is only going to increase. I don't know if we can fit a train station and a turnaround back here. That might be aggressive. But it's theoretically possible. I think the best thing to do is probably to give up this dream, or at least move it over somewhere else. Who knows where? But it's just not as important. I think it's probably going to be better if we were able to bring our maintenance facility over here. Other bonus from that, by the way, we could just run our electronics too directly into that facility, right? We've also got steel here already, right? This is only 48 and we have a 200 belt. We could run the same belt, right? I think I'm talking myself into this. We literally don't need any of these storages. We would just need an electronics too, which is also over here. For whatever that is worth, we could just run it like this. for the maintenance 2 line, and a recycling plant on the outside of it. Let's start sketching, see what we think. So, I mean, the output of the recycling plant, we'd probably do just as we did over here. Facing the roadway. We would just run this back. No, we wouldn't. We would move this all over one more, apparently. That is too tight to ask of it. Wow, even to there? The hitbox on this thing is, no, just being uncooperative, I guess. Yeah, okay, so you can see the hitbox overlap there, but not there. Okay, fine. So this would be facing the road, right? And in fact, we could, even if we wanted to, run the copper recyclables straight over, much like we did over here for our iron. Glass, a little bit further over, out here. We would run that by truck, but that's fine. And this fourth one is for gold, by the way, something that we could research, but I'm not going to bother to until we are ready for microchips. Partly because we aren't building microchips yet, and the luxury goods stuff that it's used for in the meanwhile is pretty optional. The other part is our best source of gold is across some water. There's another one up here. It's also similarly a hike. There's more out here. So, not a priority yet. But that's why I'm leaving room for a fourth, because eventually we will want that. Maybe not at this facility if it's only taking maintenance stuff, but nevertheless. Okay. Let's sketch out, what does this line look like then? Let's take all 4. We're already using 3, so we definitely need that. And then we need to get ourselves pretty much the same thing, actually, but with this guy instead. Can we fit it up against the tracks? Would also make me feel so much better if they were lined up. Super important stuff, right? Okay. Now, does that leave us enough room to work with back here? Yeah, it's just this one row. Bet we can do it, though. Ah, the footprint is slightly different. Or, nope, I just need to flip it. There it is. All right. Gonna cut these out. Copy, paste, paste, paste. And then I think we'll have to, in fact, take both of these. But all right. So electronics, 1, and then, yeah, the steel into here. How many of these do we need? So it's 1 for each of these, and it's 3/4 for each of these. It's kind of 6, I think. Steel's right here. I mean, it's making good use of this space, I think, personally. We're not exactly leaving room for maintenance 3. I mean, we could probably fit 1 or 2 in here. The good news is those are lower volume. We'll see. This all may change by then anyway. But each of these requires mechanical parts. And this should all still fit on one Mark II belt. Well, he said placing a Mark I belt. But we can keep this on the ground floor for simplicity. Ha! That's the tool I've been looking for. I really need to make more use of this. I have been complaining, wrongly, I think, for some time, that when you have a blueprinted belt, you can't upgrade it without having to delete and rebuild it. That's not true. I just needed to find this function. Nice, right? That's what I get for complaining. Oh, but here's the other question. Are we going to be able to run the recycled? Okay, I think so. I think so. We're definitely playing pretty tight here. But as long as this works, does it? What if I just force a connector? Yes. We'll deal with that. I think that's okay. So I basically just need to do that manual override each time. Oh, I guess I could have clicked twice as well. Wait, that looked like it didn't work. Okay, we're good. The issue is we're gonna have to get this up higher than both input belts or to come around like this. But I think it's more important to have these by the road. So yeah, we'll send it like this. So this needs to be up to level 3, which is 1 boost from a default. And then similarly over here, we'll just say, although actually let's keep this roadway as clear as possible. Dang it, wrong height. Oh my gosh. So this should, it's not the order I want to build them in, but it's the order I just want to make sure real quick that it is possible to build in. Oh, I have you inverted. Yeah, that's right. This is an output belt. But as long as this works, and it does, we should be able to get the rest of the outputs. All right, I'll build that one last just for like visibility's sake. But that is really good to see. And in fact, I have to rebuild each of those connections, I'm sure. Why does that output not work? All right, whatever. We know it's possible. And that's a good placeholder. Okay. Good. This is the one that needs electronics 2. And we have electronics 2 over here. This is a back road. We don't need every single... Oh, and by the way, speaking of roads, let's keep paving. This whole section, I think. And we'll pave all of this in too when we're done placing buildings. But all that to say, I think that it is fine for this to be an up and over. Unless we ramp? Would we ramp here? Bet it looks odd. I think it looks odd. Not gonna do it. So, easy enough. We'll do a flat lift. Here. Follow me on this. Connect all of these out. Here. Come up one. No, wait, what am I doing? Here we go. Down one. To there. And then this, I'll need to do the same. I'm gonna go up one to start, but 2 more. So we can connect here. Bam. Still getting trucks through there. And then we can bring this along the exact same footprint here. And we're connected. Right? Kind of cute. That'll work, right? I kind of prefer the aesthetics like this. It's not just aesthetics. It leaves this corner accessible still. Since we are going to be trying to put some maintenance 3 in here eventually, maybe. All right, so that means that the maintenance 2 has what it needs, right? We've got our mechanical parts on the bottom and our electronics 2 on the top. And this is super low throughput, so this only takes 12 off of our 200 belt. We definitely have enough over here for the remaining 48 at most. Good. And that means we just need our electronics 1 over here. So here's a question. At what point do we branch off? Because there are 3 uses. Construction parts, vis-a-vis 2s themselves and everything they go into. Everything else out at the base lumped into 1, but that includes research. And then there's maintenance. I think maintenance is actually probably the single highest priority we could have, right? Like maintenance is super important. So I'm gonna make the argument that we need to branch it off right here. And we'll say priority out. We're going to send it over like this. Actually, no. I guess we're going to send it over here. But priority out across this way. For sure. And what do you think the best way to run this over is? Maybe something like this? I don't want to build the split out here because I want to keep this roadway as clear as possible. So I guess we'll probably do something like... Ah, no. Don't tell me we can't come over the recycling facility. Can't. Not really. Okay. What does it look like coming through here? It's a giraffe of a lift. I didn't think we could go up this high. Yeah, we can't. That's one too many. But from this height, does it go over here? Still doesn't. You still have to come around. So be it. All right. That's okay. We will adjust this one last time. Okay. And that should be electronics 2. I think this works. I'm pretty sure this works. Need to get my recycling outputs done here real quick. But that's it. This entire part has to come over by 1. To make room. Because we can't have these two next to each other. It's always something. Let's see if we can just surgically... Yeah, nice. Okay. Woo! This works, I'm pretty sure. Priority out here. We do need to split off steel priority. Electronics 2, probably not going to be in short supply. If it ever is, we are going to have to think about a balancer further upstream, here even. But steel doesn't get used until here, so we can balancer here instead, which is nice. Where do we cross? Because we are going to have to go up and over on this as well, aren't we? Which means... Yeah. This actually needs to come over further as a result, which is going to push up here. Do we need 5? Can we get away with, or do we need 6, or can we get away with 5? It's 1 for each of these. All right, we're thinking about this wrong. Works. Okay, so then this needs to be a balancer right here. Okay, good. That seems better. Need to reroute this now, but that's okay. And I would like to bring this back down closer to the road too. like so. Okay. I think that's finally it. And we'll pave. Make this whole area feel a little bit more industrial factory. I mean, there's a rail yard, for goodness sake. Right? Let's just do it to here. Cool. Okay. So, in order to just get what we already had here, we need 3 maintenance 1s. Actually, here's what we're gonna do, so that I don't miss anything. I'm gonna unpause everything and then come back and pause what we don't need. Just, there's like a tiny single square somewhere that I was gonna miss if I went 1 by 1. So we only need 3 of our maintenance 1s. So we can save ourselves all of that. We only need 1 of our maintenance 2s. So we'll save ourselves all the rest of that. Which means we need 3 and a 4th of these. So the rest are paused. Everything else can go. Once that's all built, we can delete this. And we'll probably jump into lab equipment 2. Next, in the next one, let's see how long this takes to get up and running. You know what? We're gonna have a worker problem. So what we're gonna do, we'll get all of these back, obviously. I think the only way we can do lab equipment 3 right now, without more people, is to Unity boost our existing setup. And we're not even really using our entire labs. Anyway. Is our maintenance still not keeping up? Surely. I mean, we absolutely have enough. We barely need this 3rd one, technically speaking, so there must have been some sort of interruption. Ooh, everything got built, huh? Okay, but if all the resources are in place, well, we need those parts working. Let's pause the recycling facility for sure. We don't actually need maintenance 2 quite yet. Let's see if we can't get maintenance, or sorry, the mechanical parts going over here first. Interesting. Nope. As soon as this is all out and caught up, I'm comfortable turning this off, but just given where we're currently at, it seems a little concerning. And if we're not running our labs right now, pause this entire production. That should give us the people we need to get these all going. Might even say, crank it out real quick until we have a backlog. We'll run the double maintenance facility until we get up to 100%, and then we'll drop the other one off. All right, we're starting to back up here. One downside to this setup is the rather long. I suppose in an ideal world we would have actually had them all meet up here and then flow out this way. Wastes a small amount of belt. Oh hey, tree harvesting. Ooh, we are really getting out into the wilderness here for more wood, huh? It's okay. We are currently unlocking household appliances, which is how we're going to trade. And we'll get up here in a moment as well. I do want to terraform a nice little ramp as well, actually. Let's sketch it out while we're thinking about it. I don't know, something like that. With the coal there, it's probably more like this. But there it is, we'll work on that later. Alright, so this is caught up. This is caught up. Which means, and I'll start by just pausing to make sure that we can keep up before I delete these entirely. But this should be okay. This is staying good. And in fact, we need to make sure that this is able to run, or we're wasting. Good. Now this recycling facility should be able to keep up 144 with even all of this all the way up. So this would be 72 in this row. And this will be 96. So actually, no, it won't. It'll be just short. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. We may not ever even build all 4 of these, honestly. Oh, but these, we do want to make sure that trucks keep mostly full. Mostly full. Mostly empty. Oh, we didn't have to build that yet either. No worries. This seems to be keeping up. So I think it's time. Let's clear out. This certainly. These certainly. This is good because I kind of hated this. And I still want to actually run this under here as well. Oh, I actually want this over 1. So that I can run this under. Eventually, instead. Won't worry about it right now. So this is where it becomes an interesting question of like, should we reuse some of this, get into lab equipment? I think we'll save that for the next episode at this point. But I think we want a blank slate anyway, so all of this goes. Cool. A lot more space here. It would even be nice, frankly, if we could, to reclaim a little bit of this for more road. Since this is more where the road seems to be lined up. And in fact, let's give ourselves a nice placeholder reminder of that by paving it. It's really just one more row of assemblies. I guess maybe 2, because we need to double these. It's possible probably to fit it all in there, if that's what we decide to solve for. We'll give it some thought and come back to it. There are, for what it's worth, still a few more texts that we can productively research before going up to Research Lab 3. One of which would be very helpful for us, which is the more efficient versions of our turbines and power generators. This one in particular is great. It goes, normally we go 3 to 2, right? In our small power generators. 3 to 2 is a worse ratio than 18 to 15, right? This would be 18 to 12. So we're actually getting more for the same input. We're getting more actual electricity when we upgrade these. And these large water towers are so much better than having a million of these little guys. And I think they're even a little bit more efficient too, actually. So we don't actually have to sprint to lab equipment 3. We'll make a call on that before starting the next episode, but I think we will save that work, certainly, for then. But hey, look at this. We have, as soon as these get out of here, managed to start using, not only produce, but start using our construction parts for. This took some. Just 10, just a performative check to make sure you're producing them. But it took some, and we built it. Well done. Okay, cool. Well, this is fun. We are starting to get into phase 4. It's sort of a bit of a trickle here towards the end as we unlock some stuff before we jump all the way into it, but this is why we built those electronics, and it's nice to have them in use. Kind of fun. And this worked out nicely. I think this was worth doing the rearranging, not just so we get a little more space, but I think the synergy, I hate that word, the synergy with the nearby locations of all the stuff we're doing in the construction parts factory anyway, just made too much sense not to do. And it makes use of this awkward triangle in this area that we weren't really getting a good use for anyway. So love to see that as well. Cool. All right. Well, I enjoyed myself. I hope you did too. If you did, be sure to stop by for the next one. But until then, bye-bye for now.